Agustina, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to finally be able to talk.
Yes. Tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do for Cure GABA A.
Well, first of all, I'm a mom. I'm the mother of Pilar, who has a GABRA1 mutation. And when I was first diagnosed, there was nowhere to go. So after many sleepless nights, one day I came across Monica, who had just founded Cure GABA A. And she was kind enough to ask for my help, which to me was the best thing that she could ask, because until that time, I wanted to do something about it. I had emailed researchers like flying solo, but there was nothing, no structure behind me. So we very quickly realized that we were very much, we share a brain, we sometimes say, like-minded and prone to action. So I quickly started working with whatever was needed. At the beginning, it was just, posting, trying to find patients wherever. And then very quickly I started working as a patient care lead. So now I still keep on that role. I'm training more people to do that because we are getting bigger with time. But this is the time when I finally realized that there was a tremendous work to be done, but if we did that work, we could get out of the woods. So that was like, for me, in my own healing process of having a child with a genetic disorder, it was a turning point, because I thought that the diagnosis was written in stone for a long time, or for 2 or 3 years. And in that moment, I realized that we could change the diagnosis. So it really empowered me, and here we are.
Yes. Tell me a little bit more about the diagnosis process. We've talked to so many people today that have received a diagnosis and then found Cure GABA A, but you didn't have that. Your diagnosis process, was there several misdiagnoses? How did that go?
Yeah, I went through, my daughter has one of the milder presentations given the options. So at the beginning, it was just, normal questions. She's my second child, so I drew some comparisons, and the doctors kept telling me, you cannot compare your kids. One's a boy, the other's a girl. But then she started having febrile seizures. That's something that some people experience as kids and they outgrow them. But something in me told me that it was not the case. And then she started having seizures without a clear focus of fever. She was or had a running nose, or, some GI issue, but very mild. And then I realized we were trying to fit her within the febrile seizure diagnosis, but it was really getting more and more difficult to fit the child into the label. And this is when we decided to go to Mayo Clinic, because we were really desperate, and we kept getting normal MRI, normal EEG, normal blood work. Everything came back normal, but my child was just not developing on point. I was noticing that the seizures were interfering with her development and also our normal life. I woke up some of the weeks, I didn't know, okay, will I sleep in my bed today or will I be in the hospital? Because when you have a child without a diagnosis that's presenting with seizures, doctors do what, first responders do. They put you in the ER, they make you stay for half a day or so, and then the kid has another seizure, and then you're there for another 12 hours. So it was really hard time. And then when I got the diagnosis, I sometimes talk to the parents who get the diagnosis now, and they talk about the diagnosis as a period of a great relief, because they have a community and they can learn more from us and from the journey of others. But at the time when I got the diagnosis, it meant nothing, because there was nothing out there. So I Googled it, and
nothing.
I couldn't. It was just some letters and a number.
Yeah.
It's okay, but what does that tell me about the prognosis? What's her life gonna be? There were no answers for that. What's the treatment? There were no answers for that. So diagnosis was just another question more that I had at night, but nothing more than that.
Right. So Cure GABA A being founded by Monica, who had a child of her own diagnosed, you having a child of your own diagnosed. I think that says a lot about what Cure GABA A is and their understanding of all of these families going through this process. Tell me about the mission of Cure GABA A. What are you guys doing to help the community?
I think I realized that I wanted to work for Monica the moment she told me, like, I want to build this and then I want to tear it down. The only thing we want is to get these kids the treatment they deserve so that we can all go back to our lives. So there's basically no other objective but than to find better treatments for our kids, and that's what keeps us up at night and keeps us working.
Yeah. So. The progress that Cure GABA A has made in the short period that you guys have existed is incredible. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we were very fortunate because even though there was not a community organized of patients, there's a lot of literature on GABA. So they were waiting for us. The scientists, GABA has to do with anesthesia, with addiction, with schizophrenia, with alcohol abuse. So basically, there's a lot of knowledge that has been accumulated over the years around like how a GABA receptor works and how it works in the body. And so basically what there was lacking is a community where there was a disease associated with epilepsy and the GABA disorder. So some of the progress we made is because the science was already there, and also because we were very fortunate to be guided by some other diseases that were here before, like SLC6A1, SYNGAP, and many others who like championed us, counseled us, gave us good advice. One of the things that I feel very fortunate about being here is the kind of people you meet in this journey. We have made long life friends, and also, it's a very, you share, even if it's a different disorder, there's a kind of sisterhood that we all share about being in the same pursuit. So also that and Combined Brain. I don't know if you heard about Combined Brain, but they are doing a wonderful job in being like a one-stop shop, helping us have like a biorepository, help us collect the natural history, help us. So I think they give us a lot of the infrastructure that patient advocacy groups need to sort of launch, and that it would be unimaginable to get that if you have to if you could not outsource it to Combined Brain. Each of the things they do for us individually, if we had to organize that on our own, that would be a different ballgame. So we are very fortunate that there is an infrastructure that we can sort of learn from and lean in, and also trying to do the same for others. So
yeah, you talk about the sisterhood that you've developed. What have you seen, or how would you define the power of community?
I think it's very healing, and also when you have a child with a rare disease, even if your friends, your family, they intend to be very close to you, it's very hard to be deeply understood by someone, even your closest friend from high school, or your sister or your brother, because it's very hard to translate the kind of struggles, the stress, the worry, and also the suffering, and how kids are. It's silly to put it like that, but it's like the biggest project you can have as a human being. Even if it's a life of its own, but for parents, a child, it's a lifelong project that you invest everything the best of you in that project. And when you get this kind of diagnosis where where they tell you like very abruptly that that project has a very, 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 very important defect and will most likely do not live up to your like expectations and goals, you are frozen. Like a part of you is sort of torn apart. And then you start talking to other parents, even if it's a different disease or even within the disease, and suddenly you're not alone anymore. So you can talk about the heavy lifting that you have to do, the stress. You don't get those like well-intended comments that really hurt sometimes. And I've been the mom of a healthy child for some years before my other kid was born, and I made those comments too, probably to others. So you cannot take that on a personal level, but it sort of leaves you a bit lonely. So when you start talking and making friends with other mothers and fathers in the same struggle, like a part of that sort of clicks and you connect very easily. You understand like what the other person's going through, and there's a lot of explanation that doesn't need to take place because you already know.
Of course. What stands between Cure GABA A and the entire GABA industry, or the entire community, and a cure?
Well, I am deeply inspired by what has been announced today, and we are hearing amazing progress by SYNGAP and also SLC6A1, who had just dosed one of their kids with an AAV9, so that's a gene therapy. And also our founder, Monica, has just dosed her daughter with another therapeutic for MECP2, which is red, another mutation that sadly Eleanor also has. And we are seeing that there has been a tremendous progress made in the science in the last, I would say, 5 years. So now there's really a lot of hope because the technology is finally there. And basically what's standing between the cure and us, it's the funding. So I think this year we were very aware of that fact that we really need to get together as a community and fundraise with all we've got, because we know that development happens over time. And even though you can find a cure, we cannot turn time back. So the sooner these kids get the therapeutic, obviously this will change the trajectories. And we are seeing that in other disorders who already have an ASO, which is another form of gene therapy, or even an AV9, when these kids are dosed at a young age, the trajectory, it's unbelievable. So it's really a cure. So we have this sense of urgency of funding the projects. So for that, we only need to fundraise.
So the cure has been defined?
Well, we do have a therapeutic standing in the fridge for GABRA1 and GABRG2. So that's two of the subunits we work for of the receptor. So yes, basically for those two genes, what's standing between us and the gene therapy and this therapeutic is having the money to go through the FDA and being able to dose the patients. Even though you have the therapeutic, then you cannot take it to clinic unless you have the clearance from the FDA. And that, of course, involves a lot of testing, a lot of money, and sometimes time. But what we're really lacking is the money.
Understood. Is there anything out there, if somebody is learning about your organization for the first time, is there anything out there that you want to tell them about Cure GABA A?
Well, I think it's really interesting the role that, in general, people with disabilities have in society, and these rare diseases are also teaching us a lot about the healthy. So as more and more science is driven to analyze and understand these rare disorders, there is not only a direct benefit for the kids involved, which for us obviously it's a main issue, but also for the improvement of science and medicine as a whole. So I think we need to start thinking, and if you'd like to take it in a more philosophical manner, I think people with disability are here for a reason, and they make us better in many ways. I know for sure that my daughter has made me a better person in many, many ways. And I think that's not only on a moral or personal level, but also I think medically, rare disease has a lot to contribute to the health of the healthy.
Ah, interesting. I have never thought about it that way, but that's amazing. So I appreciate your time today.
Okay, thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.